We gotta hope for big damage nerfs to come in burst at the moment. Yeah, I think burst is pretty crazy. I don't know. I actually feel like Mistweaver is gonna get nerfed. I think rushing wind kick's gonna get nerfed. I have a weird feeling, and you know what I feel like they're gonna do? Nothing. Like they're not gonna compensate us for anything. So I have a weird feeling they're gonna do that. So now you're either struggle with hybrid or you're gonna struggle with crackle. Pick a struggle. Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Mysticall, and for those of you who have not seen the latest class tuning, sadly they nerfed the one button. Mistweaver has one button right now that makes it genuinely good. And they nerfed rushing wind kick damage by 50% in PvP. So this is a pretty wild change. So up in the PvE section, there aren't any Mistweaver buffs. They just fixed, of course, another Mistweaver bug that's been here forever, but that doesn't affect Mistweaver too much in PvP. But this rushing wind kick nerf is probably, if there's no kind of hot fix for Mistweaver, this actually might be the nail in the coffin for Mistweaver this season, which is a little unfortunate. Now, if you the clip at the start, that was, I think, 2 or 3 days before the changes were announced, and it got to a point a lot of people were complaining about Mistweaver, and I just need to know, like, Mistweaver has to be the only spec that's been nerfed in 3s because of the 2s bracket and Battleground Blitz. I don't think there's any other spec that's gotten nerfed more because in Arena because of other brackets. So I think that's kind of crazy. And the biggest issue is there's no like offset for it. So for those of you who don't know, rushing wind kick. So this is a solo shuffle here. Let me get a long game because that might help. Here's a good solo shuffle round. So this was about a 3-minute round in solo shuffle. And you could see Ancient Teachings, #1 heal. 20% of my healing is from Ancient Teachings. And for those of you who aren't familiar with this build or newer to Mistweaver, pretty much we have a passive called Ancient Teachings that converts 30% of our damage into healing. And that's kind of where it's at. You need to do big rushing wind kick damage to be able to do decent healing. So even though, you know, our normal heal is 2.4 million, that's a pretty big damage that I've had to do to be able to do that. So this is massive. So the 50% nerf to rushing wind kick, you're essentially cutting Ancient Teachings healing in half. Half the damage, half the healing. Very, very unfortunate. I think this nerf is really, really bad for Mistweaver, and I tend to not complain or make videos like this anymore. I think I made one video in Shadowlands, and that was the last time I made a video. But this change is really, really bad, and the alternative is to play Crackle Mistweaver, and not even I'm playing that a lot. And I love, this is my favorite spec in the game, Crackle Mistweaver. I freaking love it. I love playing 40 yards away, healing, but for some reason, they do not want to put a choice node on Vivacious to give us the old version with the new one. I don't know why. I'm not sure. Maybe they did some kind of internal testing or something. Maybe one of the developers is better than every other Mistweaver that plays this game. I don't know, but this needs to be a choice node with the previous version. So instead of complaining, I've decided, I put this out on Twitter a few days ago, but I will, I'll put it in this video here. These are what I feel are decent buffs for Mistweaver, or changes that could be from Mistweaver, that I think wouldn't make too much of an impact, but I think they would still help. So the first one would be Elusive Mist works with Statue. So for those of you who don't know what this is, it's this talent right here. Some talents that say Soothing Mist refer to Mistweaver, and like my own Soothing Mist, and then some of them refer to the statue Soothing Mist. This one is not the statue. So I think Elusive Mist should work with statue, give us a 6% damage reduction, which would be amazing. This would be great because Mistweaver right now we are a healing output healer that has no healing output. It's kind of weird. Vivacious Vivification choice node. This is a no-brainer. This is a slam dunk. This is quite literally a slam dunk change that could be so good for Mistweaver. Very unfortunate that they haven't done this. Song of Chi-Ji and Ring of Peace, separate nodes. So back in Dragonflight, Mistweaver used to be the only spec that had Song of Chi-Ji, and it was in one of the, I think it was a node here, and then Ring of Peace was over here. But they complained. People complained. You know, for some reason, they said Mistweaver had too much control, way too much control for some reason. Because when you think of Mistweaver, you think how much CC we have, for sure. And it just doesn't make sense anymore. After that, they gave Holy Pally Spamble Repentance. They gave Pally's Polymorph, and they gave Dragons Spamble Sleepwalk. Who knows why? But Mistweaver was left in the dust because Song of Chi-Ji that moves at turtle speed and has a cast time and a 20-second cooldown is on a choice node of Ring of Peace. So I think these should be separate nodes for sure. Expel Harm usable while channeling Soothing Mist. I don't care if they bring back the previous version of Expel Harm where it healed your target and yourself, but I do feel like Expel Harm should be at the very minimum be able to be used while channeling Soothing Mist, and then at least have it on myself. I think that's a good change. Zen Focus Tea is its own spell again. I know that Mistweaver has a lot of good PvP talents, and I know I get button bloat. We're getting kind of close to some button bloat. I get it. This needs to be its own spell again. I don't know why they baked this into Thunder Focus Tea, but it's hard to explain. But if there's no kicks available, right? Like let's just say Warlock UCS, Mage UCS, whatever. And I use Thunder Focus Tea, and I'm playing Zen Focus Tea because I'm playing into Mage Lock, so I'm gonna play Zen Focus Tea or whatever, and I'm playing Crackle. Why do I have to waste one of my PvP talents in a situation where I don't have to? Why can't you just give me the choice to use it? I don't get it. I think I think that's a terrible change. I think it was a terrible change, and I think Zen Focus Tea should going back to being its own spell. Vivacious buff shouldn't be consumed when Vivify is used during Soothing Mist. So this whole time I thought this was a bug. I genuinely thought this was a bug. But Vivacious, right? You kick, now you kick. You know, you get a kick, you get a Vivacious buff, right? This makes it so your next Vivify is instant. But when you channel Soothing Mist, Vivify is already instant. So I don't think it should consume that buff in any way. I think that I should be able to channel Vivify even with the Vivacious buff, and then when I'm not channeling Soothing Mist, I can use that instant Vivify, if that makes sense. That would be a really good quality of life change for Mistweaver, by the way. Rapid Diffusion, 1-point talent. So Rapid Diffusion is right here. I don't think it would be so nice if this was a 1-point talent. Also, I'll talk about the talent trees after this, but this talent tree just ain't it. But I think that Rapid Diffusion should be 1 point. That way we have a little more flexibility. Like I'd love to be able to play Energizing Brew, right? I'd love to be able to play that. I'd love to be able to mess around with Zen Pulse and Deep Clarity a little bit. You know, I think that's fantastic. But having a 2-point talent, by the way, Overflowing Mist, maybe even Overflowing Mist could be a 1-point talent because this was nerfed already, right? This was nerfed from 2% to 1.2%. So I think one of these should be a 1-point talent. That way we have one more talent to kind of like mess around with. Even Uplifted Spirits after the revival buffs are actually decently. I tested the healing. It's actually decently good. I'd love to play this, but I can't because there's no wiggle room in these talent trees. And then this was my proposed change, was Rushing Wind Kick damage nerfed with the healing buffed, specifically the healing buffed. And yeah, obviously we got the first part. the first part was done, and we didn't get no healing buff. So now you're either struggle with hybrid or you're going to struggle with Crackle. Pick a struggle. And I fully expect Mistweaver to feel like garbage come Tuesday. And it sucks to say it. It makes me so sad because I'm still going to play Mistweaver, of course. Mistweaver, the play style isn't changing. I freaking love Mistweaver. I'm going to play it no matter what. But a lot of people aren't, right? We're in the culture of WoW, and gaming in general is all about meta. And people are just going to move on to, if I had to guess, Resto Shaman and Prez, I would probably guess. I would probably going to be the 2 top healers. I really think the biggest thing hindering the developers making changes and making these impactful changes are these really bad talent trees. And I've said this since Dragonflight, so this is nothing new. I am not a big fan of these talent trees. A perfect example is Life Cocoon. I spec into Life Cocoon, and then I gotta use 3 talent points to make it good, right? Like there's no, like this talent point makes it so the absorb is increased by 80%. Like why do I need to spec into this? Why can't Life Cocoon just be 80% stronger? And then I got to use another talent to make it so it applies Renewing Mist and Enveloping Mist, right? And then I got to do another one that reduces the cooldown of Life Cocoon by 45 seconds. Like, why are these talent points a thing? Why can't Life Cocoon just be good? The modifiers make it so hard to just heal in general or react in general in PvP, right? Certain buttons have 80 modifiers, right? I mean, Renewing Mist has like 17 modifiers. There's an add-on that shows the modifiers that spells have. Renewing Mist has like 17 modifiers, and I just think they need to just go back to, and again, I'm not a game developer, right? They're not going to listen to me. No one from Blizzard is going to watch this video, but they just need to go back to the basics of making spells do what, just heal or do damage, and get rid of all these modifiers. Make it a little bit easier on yourselves to like balance, right? I just feel like that is just so important. I'm a little salty. I might be salty for a day or two, but those are my thoughts. Hopefully they kind of retroactively maybe do some kind of hotfix to you know, make the healing output heal instead of nerfing the healing. But that is pretty much it for me. Hope everyone has a great day. I would try to queue as much as you can before Tuesday, because genuinely Mistweaver is dead. And that is it for me. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I hope you enjoyed the video.